Hey, good morning. This is Kim Samples, handyman walking with Jesus. I'm glad you're here today. We're going to go in here and look at this particular property, and it's got an electrical problem. The electricity will go out if you plug in an outlet certain places. It causes it to go out in the rest of the house. So I'm pretty sure it's a bad outlet or an outlet that's getting shorted out. So we're going to go in here and take a look and see if we can trace it down and find it. And so we're going to get started on that right now. Okay, we're now in the house and we're looking at the different plugs, and of course we asked the customer what they had plugged in last that caused an outage, and that'll give us a clue of which way to look. So the customer said that they had an outage in their bedroom, and we're going to check that. We see that we've got power there, and then we're going to double check it and pull it out, and we still have some power there, but then we're going to give it a test to see what's going on with it. And we plugged it in, and we've got an open neutral there that if you push it in just right, you get an open neutral, so that's telling us we got a problem. So we're going to, as we push it in, then it's okay. Now we're going to check it one more time just to see the open neutral there. So anyway, we're going to go turn the breaker off, and of course we're going to check this and make sure there's no voltage here. And we see that we've got a little melted outlet right there, so we're going to turn off the breaker. Okay, we got that all fixed up, and we're finishing up here. That was a bad outlet. I'm going to show you some other outlets that have been burned up and how they've shorted out. Here's another outlet that was in another house that I had to discover to find. And then we've got meter base, that the whole meter base, we had it fry the wire there. That's something you don't see very often. Here's another little plug that we had, and so that you can kind of take a look, and then I'm going to follow up here in a minute and show you how to actually wire these up correctly so that you can see the best way to actually wire them up instead of pushing them into the back, which there's a lot of push pins. I prefer to put them down into the screws and lock them down tight. Give them a good tight snug so that they won't short out. Now I'm going to show you all how to wire some of these up. Okay, we just got through in that house, and I wanted to show you a little bit about how to wire up a plug where you can see it. We're a little bit too dark inside there in the house that I just got through finishing in. So I'm going to do one out here where you can see better. This is your standard outlet with the ground, and we've got the ungrounded contact here, and we have the grounded contact here. So the smaller hole, always remember that's where your hot wire goes. The bigger wire is going to be your white or your ground wire. So you got the black and the white. So we're going to look at the back of this. A lot of these receptacles, so this is the gold side, which is the black. You can push this in right here, and it'll make a connection. There, it's connected. Then on this other side, you put the white. You can just push it right in, and it has a clip. So now you try to pull this out, and you can't really pull it out. I mean, you have to have you can put a pin right here into this little square hole to release that pin so you can pull it out. And if you were changing it out. However, I don't like to use these pin things because over time they get loose, and these, electricity always is heating things up and cooling off, heating and cooling, heat and cool, heat and cool. Over many years, this connection will get loose, and then you have a little short here. So I'd much prefer to go ahead and this is 14 gauge, this is 12 gauge. This is a little bit heavier into the receptacle. This is an old piece of Romex, so we put this in here. We got it in, give it a clip it tight, and then we can screw it in so that it's good and tight. So now you got a good connection of the wire here. So all that wire is contacting right there. You can do the same thing on the ground side. Put it in, clamp it down, So we're going to screw it down good. Now you got the white where I screwed it in, and then you have this where it's just popped in. Now this particular receptacle will take 14 gauge wire. You can't take a 12 gauge and put it in there. So it depends on what kind of receptacle you got. But if you're switching them out, I'd much prefer to take these wires and screw them down than push them in. It's a lot easier and faster to do them this way, and that's why they've got these set up like this way. So if electrician's doing a new house and doing a new job, he can slap these things in a lot faster than having to put them around there and screw them down. And of course you take your ground wire, you put it on the ground. Remember, when you're working with electricity, you should always turn off all the breakers that you think might be making live power to this. Always test the circuit with a tester and double check it, or even triple check it before you start working on it, because even 110 volts can kill you. So if you're working on this and it gets you at the right spot and the right way, you could be a goner. So you don't want that to happen. So I always use 2 different testers when I'm working on any electrical plug. I use just a regular voltage tester to check and see if I have any voltage. So I'll check here and here, check over here, check over here. I always check on the other side too, because somebody might have wired it up backwards, which I've seen that. You can also use one of these little testers that'll give you a lot more information that you can plug in. Has a whole code of things right here. So when you're plugging this in a house, if you're trying to trace down where the problem is, you plug it in and kind of shake it around a little bit, because sometimes the shaking it around will cause the short that's on the wire to show up, and it'll show up in your lights here, and you can try to track it down that way. So you can do both of them, shake it around, because it may be on the top side or the bottom side. Yes. But remember, always double check with your voltage tester before you start working on a plug, and then make sure you turn the breakers off. And what I like to do is I like to turn the breaker off, find it, make sure it's off, and then I go turn the breaker back on, check it, it's on, so you got power here. Now go turn it off again and double check it, so you know that that breaker is the one that's for this outlet. And then make sure nobody's goofing around in the breaker box while you're over there working on it. So if you're working on it and you got 2 or 3 other guys working around you, you don't want somebody to go over there and, oh, let me turn the breaker back on because something, I was working over here and the power went out. So, you know, if you're by yourself in the house, or you know nobody else is working in there, that's okay. But remember that if there's other people working around you, double check, maybe tape off the breaker if you had something like that going on. Okay, I went ahead and took this plug apart so you can kind of take a look and see what I was talking about. When you just push in the wire, I want to push this in. This would be the back where you push it in. You push it in. How much of the wire is actually making contact? So see, right here, this has just got this little clip is clipping into that. So see, now I'm trying to pull it out. I can't pull it out. But see, if I just barely push on this this little tab, I can pull that wire right out. So even when I push this in, this is where you push it in the back, you can see that it's actually biting into the wire a little bit there, and then the wire's touching this part right here. So that's your connection. Now watch this. When I do this, I'm going to bend this. See, you can actually see how that wire twists around in there. Not that it's going to be getting twisted once it's plugged into the wall, but say that you're plugging it into the wall and it's over time this piece It gets hot because the electricity is flowing through the wire, and then over time this is going to get looser and looser, or maybe get a little corrosion on it, or anything that can happen to it, and then you lose your connection. So that's why I feel like it's a lot better to go ahead and screw it down like I showed you on the other ones where I was screwing it down. Also, you see how this is grooved. The plate right here is grooved, so lots of surface area to connect the wire, get it locked down good and tight. Okay, so we're all done now. Don't forget, keep walking with Jesus. Have a blessed day, and stay tuned for more videos. If you have any comments or questions, put them down below, and I'll do my best to answer them and get back with you as quick as I can. Have a blessed day.